So I'm Jim Whitaker. I'm speaking in, if you came to hear Joe Massey, he's part of the government shutdown problem, so he couldn't make it. So Ryan and I are going to tag team this. I'm going to be talking about sustainable rice farming and practices that we use on our farm. And I'm wondering if that thing's going to advance the slide. There you go. So what does the future look like in rice conservation? I'm going to point out a few things that I think are going to be the future of rice. They're my opinion. First thing is sustainable verification. I think in the near future we will have third-party verification of sustainability. And you say, well, why in the world would you do that? The same exact reason people did certified organic 40 to 50 years ago. It was a process for them to get higher value for what they were doing. So organic farmers figured out they had a sustainable, not sustainable, but verification. They could sell their product for higher and had different standards, qualities they had to meet. So what we're looking at in rice is the SRP, the Sustainable Rice Platform. It was created in 2011 at IRRI, the International Rice Research Institute, in conjunction with the UN. So they came together with a purpose to help small stakeholder farmers around the world with their sustainable practices, and they created this SRP. Well, for about 5 years now, I've been taking SRP scoring through one of the companies I sell for. Why is all that important? Because you're being scored as an American farmer in a global market, but we don't have any system to score us. So the SRP is mainly focused around small stakeholder farmers. So in 2015, we applied for a SIG grant with two goals in a SIG grant, Conservation Initiative Grant. We were going to create a rice carbon credit market. In 2016, we sold the first carbon credits to Microsoft. And our second goal was to create a sustainable verification. And that's where we are now. It's third party. It's got to be above reproach, and it's got to be third party verification. They just returned from Cambodia yesterday. We're trying to add 50 U.S. questions to the questionnaire that will be U.S. regional specific only. It will give us a way to benchmark ourselves with other countries, but it'll also be a way that when a company makes a claim that says they're going to be 100% sustainable by 2020, how are they going to verify that claim? So the BCI is another one, Better Cotton Initiative, same thing. There are farmers in the U.S. getting premiums for their Better Cotton Initiative right now. So number two, data management. It's going to become increasingly hard to manage data. The way we manage our data, what we do on the farm, you've got so much data coming at you, how you manage it. Number three, more environmental restrictions. 4, NDVI satellite. 5, automation. Everything's going to be automated. When you talk about things like sustainable verification, or when a company, like there's a lot of different companies doing things today and making claims, people laugh. And I think about all the conversations we had 25 years ago about auto steer, how that'll never work. No way I'll pay for that. Now, literally on our farm, if the auto steer goes out, they stop the tractor, and somebody has to come fix it. You won't do anything without automation. Number 6, analytics. We're going to take all this data and we're going to compress it, and we're going to start figuring out what the fastest, best decision can be made, and that's going to be analytics. The military uses analytics. They've got a chance of success on everything you can imagine. And it's all about crunching data. Number 7, telling the right story. How can you tell a story on your farm? Everyone in here has some type of social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So I'm a kind of a puppies and kittens type guy. I'm going to take a picture of a little baby deer in a rice field. I'm going to put it on Facebook. People love it. Alligators, they go ballistic. I mean, you take a picture of an alligator in a rice field. Last year I had 900 something shares on Twitter of an alligator in a rice field. People are commenting all over the world about an alligator in a rice field. What I suggest, sunset, sunrises, tractors, your kids in the field with you. Tell the story in a positive way. What I do not like is friends that are killing all types of animals, putting it out there. You know, we all like to hunt, but you don't need every gory detail on your Facebook page. Tell the story, tell it positive. So what is sustainable farming? It involves methods that do not completely use up or destroy natural resources, keeps farms economically viable, enhance quality of life. There are three pillars of sustainability: social, environmental, and economic. If they do not have all three pillars, they will not be sustainable. So if there's something out there that really helps the environment but costs you a ton of money, makes it hard for you to do, it's probably not sustainable. So in rice farming, water is the key. Everything is about water. Best management practices for water: alternate wet and drying, side inlet, flow meters, surface water, minimize well usage, irrigation, water quality testing. You're going to hear more about that in the future. So AWD is simply flooding your field and let it naturally evaporate. It's kind of a hard concept to get your mind around until you do it, or you go to a rice research station and go through all the plots and look at all the stages of dry down. But AWD can be a huge deal. All right, so here's a graph that shows the progression of water use through a farm. This was done by Delaney and Joe Massey, who Ryan was supposed to be speaking with today. It's about a 10-year-old slide. Contour levees uses the most water. We all know that. 45 acre inches of water. Just for Mid-South grins and giggles, California is allotted 5 acre feet to raise their crop. Think about that for a minute. 45 acre inches of water. When you precision grade your field, you're going to drop it down to about 37. When you use side inlet, you're going to drop it down to about 30. When you go to intermittent side inlet stacking practices, you got to start with the land leveling, but when you start stacking practices, you're going to drop it down to about 22 inches there in the black. Zero grade is right at 20. It is the most environmentally friendly, water friendly way to farm. We got a little rushed on the front end. We farm in southeast Arkansas. We farm rice, cotton, corn, soybeans. All of our rice is zero grade. We've been doing it. We have fields that have been in for over 30 years, continuous rice. There is some problems. We've got fields that are first year out. Catch me and we can talk about zero grade if you got any questions. So I do a lot of tests on the farm. This is one that was conducted by Rice Tech. We were part of Smart Rice program. They paid for this research, helped us. So similar stuff. Flood irrigated 36 inch, straight levee 34, zero grade 22. 3-year study on our farm, we're averaging 11 inches. So the difference between 11 and 26 is about $100 an acre in your pocket. So everybody wants to talk about sustainability. Save $100 an acre, and you'll be more sustainable. So how do we do that? In zero grade, you got a perimeter road all the way around the field, right? So you don't have any seepage. What it is water capture. We're capturing or harvesting rainfall. As you allow your field to naturally evaporate, a rain event comes through, it refloods the field. It's pretty simple. We will go 30 to 35 days most time during the summer and never turn a well on because we will always have 1 to 3 inches of water in the field. Sometimes we have 8 or 9. Just depends on what kind of rainfall the good Lord gives us. Irrigation conservation. Here's why this is important. We only have about 2.5 million acres in the United States, 350 million acres globally. It accounts for 45% of global irrigation water. AWD could save 30% of that. And through our research that we found with the carbon market, when you allow the soil to dry, you're going to reduce methane gas by almost a ton per acre in that field. When you lower your nitrogen rate, you're going to reduce nitrous oxide. 2 of the biggest greenhouse gases can be reduced and save water and make you more money all at the same time. Good for climate change. So this is a typical setup on one of our fields. We call that ditch there is called boggy bottom. There's only one person in this room that knows where that is. Caper's probably the only person in the room that's ever seen it. It is a muddy ditch. But we're constantly putting in L pipes, picking up surface water. So why am I showing you this muddy ditch? Because that's a big problem for us. That's soil erosion. And in zero grade, we're putting the water on and we're letting it naturally evaporate. So as you read last week in Rice Farm Magazine, rice has a purifying effect. We're purifying the water as it comes out the back of the rice field. But what happens in our farms is as we're constantly tilling and as we have putting slope in our fields to help water go through the farm, water is moving through so fast, the velocity of the water is picking up soil, picking up nutrients, picking up chemicals, and putting it in the waterway. So this is my son, Scott David. He's 16 in that picture. He needed a summer project, so I knew that we were doing something with the water. I just couldn't. I don't have a science degree. Another life, maybe. Back that up, Ryan, one time. So this is surface water on the left. You got field water on the right. I called Michelle Reba, and she set us up a study. We were checking this water on the farm in 8 different points through the system, where the water enters the farm, goes in the reservoir, comes out the back of the reservoir, in a couple different sites, and as it leaves the field, that's what the water looked like. Go forward, please. So the top picture was 2 years ago. This is directly taken out of my back door. This is Bayou Bartholomew, and this is the water leaving our row crop farm. We had cover crop that year, 100% cover crop. We got about 2 or 3 inches, and I looked in the bayou and I said, golly, what is going on? And I realized we had clean water leaving our farm mixing with dirty water. It's that simple. If that's not visual, I don't know what is. Let me tell you what is staggering. In the U.S. is estimated, so take this with a grain of salt, we are losing 2 to 4 tons of topsoil a year per acre, costing $37 billion a year in the United States. So how does that affect you? If your horizon is 2 or 3 years, you're just trying to get to I'm just trying to get to the next crop, keep tilling it, keep getting that great stand, keep running those high yields, keep going. If your horizon is the next generation, you better take care of your topsoil. We're losing topsoil at a rate of 1 inch per 16 years in the United States, and it takes 500 years to naturally build that topsoil back up. 500 years to build 1 inch of topsoil back on your farm. We are losing at a rate of 1 inch per every 16 years. We got to change what we're doing. You got to figure out cover crops, you got to figure out no-till, and that is painful. I don't know how many people in here besides me have had a painful experience with no-till and cover crop, but it is painful. We got to figure it out. If we could figure out cover crops and no-till, we wouldn't have to irrigate as much. Next slide, please. That's water leaving the rice field. That's the story you want to tell. That will sell right there. That'll sell your rice on the shelf. That'll sell all day long because, like you heard Rick Crawford say, there's more and more money going to go to conservation, climate change, and go to environmental things. It's constantly going to get pulled away from direct payments and get put in these type programs. Next, please. I said automation. Rice automation is everything's going to be automated in 10 years. You don't believe it? I mean, it's hard to fathom, but we didn't even have when I started farming, we didn't even have a cell phone. I mean, think about how far we've come in just 25 years. This little device took us a couple years to get. Precision King, Nick King, he's speaking next door. Great group of guys. This is a rice water checker. It is shooting an ultrasound down in that tube. We got it in the ground 10 inches. We want to read above ground moisture and below ground water level. So it's shooting an ultrasound down, coming back up, going to the well or to my cell phone every 7 minutes, 24 hours a day. We have found that in zero grade, with our management practices, we still were able to cut 20% off our water usage with that little tool. Now that's not much. 20% on 12, 15 acres, it'd be hard to pay for that. In a contour levee or a different system, a guy that's not automated, he goes all the way to this, he's going to save about 50% immediately. you can pay for that little jewel every year, 100% return on investment if you're doing nothing. So there's a huge reason to go to take these leaps. I'm not advocating any company. There's about 3 out there right now. They're all pretty good. I'm waiting, watching, see who rises to the top. These guys are pretty good. If you want to read more on that, go to AT&T. We did a case study. AT&T 10X program. You can read about that. Need for data, layering data, soil samples, variety, yield, multiple years, helps you make good decisions. What is the value of data? Anybody got an idea what the value of data is?
Only if you use it.
That's very true. Worth nothing if you don't use it. What's it worth to other people? How many people give your data to another company for free? Just anybody give their data to Monsanto, Syngenta, FBN, Granular, Conservis, Indigo, AdWorld, any of the multiple platforms? Venture capital is coming in and investing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in ad data. Why? Because they want to get that data, benchmark you against other people, figure out your tendencies, figure out how they can make you more sustainable, and then sell products back to you. Your data is going to have a lot of value. I'm working with a few of those on the screen. FBN is a great company. I'm working with Indigo. They're a great company. Told you I'm working with Rice Tech, another great company. They want the data because they're using it to tell their story, to help sell products, to help make us more sustainable. They're crunching those numbers for us. So I can highly recommend, if you're not doing anything, you need to at least check into some of these that are on this board. Next slide. Okay, to burn or not to burn. This is going to be an increasing bigger problem in the Mid-South. There was a lot of articles and bad press in Jonesboro area about smoke and about burning. It's a social issue. So I was bored and I called Michelle Reeve and I said, let's do a burning study. So this is the second year. We took 2 40-acre fields. We split them in half. We burned half. We didn't burn half. We collected all the straw, collected one square meter grids. What we found out is you have about 8,000 pounds of straw behind a rice crop that does not want to decompose and really is not good for much of anything. 8,000 pounds. When we burn it, we reduce the straw down to about 2,000 pounds. If we did nothing but flood it alone, we reduce 42% of the straw during the winter by flooding alone. So we get to this spring, we had water sensors every 5 acres. We had soil moisture, cameras, soil temperature, water level, had all these devices every 5 acres all the way across these 2 40-acre fields. We drop the water and we plant. Guess what happened? Who's got a wild guess? What happened where I had the straw?
Conserved water.
Well, we did. The field was a lot wetter. It did not ball the drill up, but we did not get a stand of rice. Where we had the straw, we did not get a stand of rice. We had to replant. Where we had the straw, it cost me 30 bushels an acre.
Kept the ground that much colder?
Kept it colder, wetter. We could not close the furrows. There were just all kind of problems. Had to replant. So what do we know from that? I said smoke is a social issue. Smoke is a social issue, not an environmental issue. When you burn a rice field and that smoke goes up, it doesn't stay in the atmosphere very long, and it is less toxic than the methane gas from decomposition that you have in a rice field. So if you've got to get rid of your straw, you either have to burn it, you have to let it naturally decompose. We work with 5 different biological agents along with fertilizer, trying to see if we could speed up the decomposition. We found a big goose egg on that. So you got to burn it or till it in. It's going to take you about 5 to 7 trips to till that straw in. That's going to increase your erosion. And so burning is better. Burning is better for the environment. We have papers, we have research that we're putting together to figure out this. Arkansas is being proactive, so Arkansas started a voluntary smoke management guideline for row crop. So I went and kind of thought through this process, not wanting to take anything away from those guys, but I kind of came up with the best management practice for burning. Know your weather. If the weather's bad, you don't need to burn. So what I'm looking at 3 or 4 or 5 day forecast, because number 2, I have to condition my straw. I'm going to run a Kelly Diamond today. I'm going to wait a day, run it again. The next day I'm going to burn. 4-day process. I got a 4-day turnaround on burning. Why are we going to condition the straw? When we dry the straw out, it burns cleaner and quicker. We get a better burn. If you just burn behind the combine, you're putting off more smoke and you're getting less of a burn than you will if you condition the straw. So be aware of your surroundings, wind direction, highways, municipalities. Last year I had a field right on the highway, winds blowing right at the highway for 3 days. 4th day we had a big chance of rain. And here's what I did. Here's what some people would normally do. Just burn it anyway and cross your fingers and drive off quick as you could. I called my buddy that works for the police and I said, what if I burn this field? Would y'all possibly? He said, we'd love to. 5 minutes later, I had a fire truck, 2 ambulances, and a police car. They didn't have anything else to do. They were thrilled to be out there with their flashing lights on. Blocked the highway, 15 minutes, the smoke was gone. Start to finish, 15 minutes. They had about 7 cars in line. They said one guy was a little mad. They thought that was kind of funny too. But it was, you know, think about what you can do if you got to burn. Number 4, burn between 11 and 4 p.m. We found that is the best time of day to burn. That is in the guidelines. Do not burn when wind exceeds 15 miles per hour. Also, do not burn if humidity is lower than 20%. In the morning, you have this inversion. You got this high humidity and the wind, the air staying close to the ground, and you've got to wait till that gets out of here. You need to let your straw dry anyway. You need the wind to get stable, humidity to get stable during the day, and burn. You'll see that smoke go up and over. How many times have you burned and that smoke just went straight across the ground, laid real low, and just fogged the whole area? Weather conditions were not good for burning. This will help you. I wasn't the best at calling in this year. Lauren can give you more information about that in the back. Go to that site. Never leave the fire unattended. There's 3 of us on burning. We burn every day the weather lets us. We take 2 water wagons with about a 50-foot, 1-inch hose, put a bugle on it. You look like a fire truck. We wrap it up around a reel. They go around, they wet every telephone pole, they wet everything, the wells, they wet the pipes, they wet everything down. They start about 10 o'clock in the morning wetting everything down. When I get there, it's time to burn. We burn. When we get done burning a block of ground, usually about 500-600 acres a day, when we get done with that area, I leave because I have things to do. Those guys stay there till everything's out. Every little patch of Bermuda grass, everything's out. They go around, and one of them's in the back of the truck. He's spraying, and they drive around and around and around. Put out everything. Never leave it unattended. Next slide. Independent certified consultant. I think everybody needs it. This is Rob, who I work with, and does a great job helping me with things. That's just a thing. Anybody got any questions?
I'll ask questions while I'm switching slides here.
If you were here to hear